North Platte High School Studio B. Welcome to Bulldog Banter, where students, stakeholders, and alumni come together to traverse the transformative power of education. This week's episode is sponsored by the North Platte Public Schools Foundation and the Flower Market.
Hi, it's Tucker and Will. We're with some North Platte alumni with Kolten Tilford and Kinkaid. How was your guys' high school experience?
Let me kick it off.
Oh, yeah, you get started.
You know, as I keep thinking about it and as college keeps going on, I miss high school more and more, I'm not going to lie. And high school at North Platte was pretty special for me. I had a good time. I made a good group of friends throughout my way, Kinkaid being one of them. And I don't know. Everything about high school was pretty fun. School wasn't that hard. I didn't go to class much. Just kidding. I did. I did go to class all the time. But no, I got a lot of good memories here.
I was going to say for my high school experience, I'd say, like, first of all, kind of what Kolten was saying, like, as college has gone on, I've kind of realized how, like, good of a group of friends I had growing up here. And I was just talking to one of them the other day, and he was saying the same thing. It's like we really are pretty close. Like, we all talk still to this day. And that's not to say that I don't have really good college friends, too, because I've definitely found a group. But it kind of has made me realize, like, how special it was. And I just think, like, throughout the entire high school experience we had, like, I had a good group of teachers, and we had a lot of classes together. Obviously, we played a lot of sports together and stuff like that, and we just kind of all had a good goal in mind, and we all kind of, I don't know, we just were a really good group of friends, and it made high school a really good time.
Yeah, so kids are always, like, complaining, like, high school's so hard, high school's this, high school's that. Do you guys really think high school was like, oh, my gosh, I hated high school, I'd never go back?
No.
Nah. I mean, classes in college, it's like your schedule's a lot better because you might only have 2 classes a day, 1 class a day, maybe even no classes a day. But classes are definitely a lot harder in college. So I don't know. I mean, looking back at high school, classes were pretty easy. So.
And I'd just say, like, the leeway, I guess. Like, you know, in high school you could, you know, have a paper late a little bit, and you knew the teacher well enough. You could kind of maybe sweet talk your way into get a little extra time. But, you know, college, they kind of, I don't know, it's a lot more, I wouldn't say strict, but it's more like if you mess up and you're not on time and you're not going to class, I mean, that's your problem. And the professors, like, there's all, like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of really cool professors that are really, like, forward, and they'll work with you on things, but you got to put in a lot of effort too. And you just kind of have that schedule in mind and stuff and just be ready for it. But high school, you look back and it was more like, you know, I don't think of any hard assignments the way I do of college. I think about just hanging out with my friends and having fun classes with them. So,
During high school, did you guys, like, always decide you wanted to go to college, or is that, like, a senior year decision? Like, I think I want to go to college. Or was the sports, like, that you guys got signed to, like, a deciding factor in where you went? Or how did you guys decide you wanted to go to college? Or where did you want to go?
Sports were definitely a deciding factor. I decided that I want to play football in 8th grade, so that was the main reason I decided to go to college. If I wasn't playing football, I'm not so sure how I would have ended up. I don't think college is probably the best thing for me. I'm not a huge fan of school, but football is definitely the reason that I decided to go.
I was going to say, like, I really didn't know that I was going to play football for a long time going to college. I kind of made that decision super late because, like, I think it was literally after the Super Bowl that I decided that I actually wanted to play football in college my senior year because I don't know, I really wanted to enjoy my senior year and enjoy, like, hanging out with my buddies, and especially, you know, like, senior football, I kind of want to enjoy that time with them instead of, you know, a lot of people look forward to college too much and they kind of are already, like, trying to find a place to go. And I mean, I kind of was content. I mean, I always going to go to college, but I kind of thought I was going to go to UNL and just be a student and then just kind of hang out until, around that time, like after the Super Bowl.
Would you say that North Platte, like, prepared you good for college and college sports and everything?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think when Coach Rice was here and he came into our football program that he really introduced us to a good culture. Sports-wise. In football, I think not just with my class and the year before, we started to really turn things around here. So I think I got a good taste of culture and what it was like to be a part of a tight-knit team. So it kind of slingshot me forward into college and knowing how to be with a good, hardworking group of guys and kind of just mold into that?
I was going to say, yeah, I think on the school side of it, like I think if you guys take Miss Workmeister's advanced comp, I think is what it was. That was really good. Like, you think it's a lot of papers when you go to Miss Workmeister's class just because it's kind of the big jump, but you get to college and every single Monday there's a paper due, and it just kind of like got me ready for that kind of side of it. And I mean, obviously it depends on your major, but I think that just all the teachers and stuff, like a lot of people, you know, you always hear that the next level of school, I mean, during middle school, you hear that high school is the hardest thing in the world, and then you hear the same thing about college, but it really isn't like that. It's more just your responsibility gets higher and maybe the actual workload gets a little bit bigger, but you kind of adapt really well. And I think North Platte did a really good job of like getting us, it definitely did get us prepared. And on like the sports side of it, yeah, I would even say a lot of the things we did in basketball, I know that gets enhanced now because, you know, Jake's always complaining to me about 20 and 20s and all that stuff. But like a lot of those things where they say that, you know, you just got to really work through and have a good mental side of it. Like in college sports, and I know Kolten knows this too, there's a lot of times, especially those first 2 years, it's like, man, do I really love this thing? Or is it, you know, because you're doing some type of conditioning that sucks. But just that mentality that was instilled in football and basketball, and honestly, all the sports, I think that it really did prepare us pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
So during high school, what sports do you guys both do?
I was kind of on and off with some things. Football all the way through. Basketball my freshman year. Ended up not doing it sophomore year. Came back junior year and did basketball again. And then I didn't play senior year. I tried wrestling throughout there. And yeah, track and field too.
Yeah, I did football, I did basketball, and then I did triple jump and track. So
Triple jumper.
I triple jumped in 8th grade. That was an experience.
that. I remember watching them.
I wasn't the greatest, but it was fun. Krizik wasn't a coach, basically. No offense, Krizik, if you're watching this.
Crazy.
But what's your guys' favorite memories from those sports? Like any outstanding things?
Just getting away from football, track was probably, we had some good times during track. It was a fun group of guys. Kinkaid really, man, he made track exciting watching him triple jump and fly through the air. But no, track, we had a lot of good memories there, just messing around at track meets all day. And going to state, that was one to remember, staying in the hotels there.
I'd say, I guess for track, some of my favorite memories come from Luke Ratchin. And I can't be super specific on everything that he did, but he just was a goof. He'd always socialize with like every team that was there, and he'd always walk around. And I guess a favorite specific memory isn't because of how good I did or anything, but when we were at Burke and Jalen Lloyd was at the top of the flight and I was at the end, and he broke a record that had been there for about 50 years, and everyone was clapping and watching. And then I followed him up, and I think I jumped like a 36. So it was a pretty good time. But
Clapping for you.
So football, I have a memory from you guys. Beating Westside was one of the biggest things to ever happen to our school for a while. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
you want me to jump in on this
Go ahead.
a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone always talks about like the LeBron moment where he always says that they were going to do something, but I could pull up messages right now. Me and Kolten the night before, like we definitely both are a little bit nervous, you know, like just because we had just lost to Kearney and that was a really big game for us, and we had a really good game plan, and we kind of honestly shot ourselves in the foot in that game.
Yeah.
And I think we had a little bit of a falling out, but then we kind of all came together as a team, and we're like, you know what, these guys are high schoolers too. And I'd say the day before that game, it was like 11 o'clock at night or something, we're both staying up, and I remember just texting Kolten on Instagram and being like, hey man, like, I think we really got a shot. What do you think? And he's like, I don't know, dude. Like, I'm watching them, and I'm thinking the same thing. And I remember we watched that Millard North film. And Millard North, if you guys don't know, also runs the flex bone. And I've always thought that we run it a lot better than they do. And they gave Westside the biggest problem they had all year. So just going into that game, I honestly was feeling pretty confident. I mean, I was pretty – I think that was the most locked in our team's ever been, I would say, like in terms of all practice. And then just like the walkthrough was good. Like just everyone was all like on a pretty clear mindset of like, you know, we're going to give it all we got, you know, like if we lose, you know, we lose, but we're not going to let the name of Westside and them being number one shy us away from competing. So
Yeah, no doubt. I remember Caleb texting me, and I don't know, we just both agreed that we had a weird feeling about this one, and just had a feeling that everything was going to go in our favor. And, you know, being from North Platte, like, every game, honestly, is personal when you play a team from the Metro because it just feels like we're disrespected. And I don't know, they came in here, and I remember going through warm-ups, and they had their camera crew out there and everything, just being all flashy. And it just, man, that made me so excited to get after them. I knew it was going to be a good day for us.
Yeah, I was in 8th grade, and it was the student section. I was like, I pull up to the game. I'm like, I bet we're not. I don't know. I'm like, oh, this might be not a great game to watch. And I'm sitting there like, whoa, what's happening? And then we keep playing. 4th quarter, I'm like, oh my gosh, we might actually win. And it was like the craziest experience I've ever had watching high school football.
So were you on the other side?
Yeah, we were on the far side.
That was popping.
We got yelled at for being too loud multiple times.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. The first play of the game, he's actually my teammate now, is JQ. He jumped over my good buddy Hayden Brower and gets a TFL. And Hayden always talks about how he's like, oh, God, like this is like they are. And I read the very next play, he ran some type of toss or something, and I was blocking the safety. And he was running away from me. I'm like, what is he doing? And I look to my right, and Kolten's past me, and I'm like, oh, God. And what is like a 70-yard run? And that's kind of when I was like, okay, like we're going to be able to score. But I think like the biggest point where I was like, I really felt good because I kept on trying to tell everyone to like, because you don't want to get too high in games like that. Yeah. You don't want to get too excited. And because a lot, Westside, especially that year, they had a lot of teams where they'd play them pretty close the first half. And then all of a sudden you look at the score and it'd be 42-14, at the end. And I'd say that coming out of the halftime, we got a 3-and-out, and there was some penalty that I disagreed with, and they got a first down and 3-and-out right again. And I was like, okay, like we're pretty locked in. I don't know, like it felt pretty good, and I don't know. I'd say that's, and one thing we were best at, especially that year, is just those ending game drives. We had one at Scottsbluff too, and old Kolten got a big run at the end, and I don't know, we were down on like the 5-yard line or something like that. And I don't know. I felt pretty confident.
We had way too many of those, like last-minute scores. But
if you go back and watch that play Kolten scores, you can watch me get put right on my butt. Like, I get absolutely smacked, but I'm literally sitting on the ground. And I put up two hands because I was pretty excited. But no, it was. I would say that's the most surreal moment I've ever had in a sport. I've never. People always talk about crying from joy, and I'm not, like, I seriously did. I cried, like, with my grandma was there. My grandma was supposed to leave at halftime. She stuck around the whole game. My buddy Isaac Anderson, he never came to any of our games, and I was talking to him the day before about it, and I told him that it was number one. He's like, maybe not the best game to go to for the first one. And lo and behold, he showed up. And I also do remember Coach Pack, like, and obviously we all know Coach Pack, and he's one of like he was one of the most inspiring people to me, just in his whole mindset and everything. And seeing him, like, he came up and just gave me a big old hug and everything. And I don't know if I'd ever seen him that happy either. So it was a pretty cool moment just for all that stuff. But
that was crazy, seeing people's faces after the game. Yeah. It's like, dude, I've never seen you like that. I don't know, that was a huge win for our community. So it was special. Our group being able to do that felt great.
It just also felt like, growing up, everyone always says, like, North Platte, you're Class A. Do you ever really expect to do anything? Like, like it's just kind of a mentality thing. And we always tried to kind of shy away from that. And I'd say in our other years, we had really, really good big wins. But, I mean, obviously nothing quite like number one. And I kind of hoped it would, like, it felt like it served like a point. Like, hey, like we might be from, a smaller school than everyone else. We might not have all the athletes and all the great people, but we can still compete, and we can still beat anyone. And that's kind of what it felt like, it just kind of proved to the whole state of Nebraska, all the people that were doubting us in Omaha and everything, that we could beat anyone. So,
talk a little more about the West Side game ball.
Oh,
I got sent here.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I didn't know about that. Coach Alta came up to me and he got something in the mail. They ended up presenting it to me at was it pep rally? Pep rally? Yeah. What?
You got talking to that mic.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, we were at a pep rally, and I read the letter. The coach, he sent me a game ball. He said he could have sent even more game balls, but, Kinkaid got a little mention in there maybe. Robley, a few other guys. And he basically just said that, tonight was a huge night for us. This was really respectful of them. They were a very respectful team. There wasn't even a lot of trash talk out there. So for them to do that, just showed their class. He talked about how it was just a huge night for us. Have you seen the ball? I don't know. Yeah, it's got like stats on it, the score, stuff like that. And then I got a message from Rezak over at Omaha West Side, and just basically congratulating me and saying how big this was for us, and we can look back at it when we're older. It was really cool.
Yeah, so changing gears, like now you guys are both playing college football. What teams are you both playing for, and like how's that going for you guys both?
I'm playing for South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits.
Oh, and I'm playing for UNK, the Lopers.
Going into my redshirt freshman year, it's been way too fast, honestly. I don't like to look back and say I've already been almost through 2 years now. But it's been a great time up there. We are heading into the playoffs right now. Montana plays tonight. Montana plays Eastern Tennessee, and we will face them in the second round, face the winner of them. So,
I'd say just, I kind of piggybacking off what you said, like, it is crazy. You look at it already, and you're like, man, 2 years have already gone by. I mean, we didn't make the playoffs or whatever, but I'd say one of the coolest things for our school is we had a lot of turnover right away just because it was a brand new coach. Our coach, the original coach, left right before I ended up committing there. And so that first year, it was a lot of transfers, and it was a little bit rough just with everyone finding their place and all the coaches figuring it out. But then just how determined everyone was going into winter conditioning and then spring ball. And then just the mentality shift, I felt like. It honestly kind of resembled a little bit of what I felt like went on here between, I'd say, like our sophomore and junior year. And, we had a lot of tough games this year where it was like right there, and I think next year we're going to kind of blow over and win a lot of those games. But it was kind of cool because our defense was one of the top defenses in the nation, and we competed with literally everyone we played, and it was cool. I'd say just the difference between college and high school is just how hard everyone's working, like everyone, and just the way that we did mat drills and stuff like that, and everyone really bought in when, now there's a transfer portal and a lot of people can just leave.
Yeah.
So it was just really nice to see how everyone kind of bought in and was really bought in with our team. But yeah.
Yeah, so the flip from high school football to college football, is that like a huge gap that you weren't expecting? Or were you expecting was it just like a culture shock when you got there, or was it different?
Not much of a culture shock where I went, but it's a huge difference. The speed of the game is insane. Just the complexity of football itself. I got to my first day of fall camp, and there was a 600-page playbook on my desk, and I was like, holy. But, I mean, it's just crazy. You'd have never thought that, like, football is so complex. And it's like people can watch on TV, and you think one guy's doing the wrong thing, and it's like he did his job. It's just crazy how stuff like that works. And just the speed of the game, the size. In high school I wasn't big, and I'm not big now, but I'm still one of the smallest guys out there. But the physicality and stuff like that. But South Dakota State, I don't know. It wasn't much of a culture shock because, I don't know, I feel like that program fits me really well. I kind of feel like it's a group of guys that I was almost with in high school. We all kind of worked the same and stuff like that. But going to college is a big jump. I mean, there's athletes everywhere. It's like taking the best kid from every high school and throwing them on a team. Yeah. So it's.
I was just going to say, I guess the little bit of culture shock that I experienced was just, there's so many different people from different cultures, there's how many different kids from Florida and California and all that stuff like that. And it's not it's just, it's different people and stuff like that. But, you all end up becoming friends, and it's kind of nice just to get outside your comfort zone and get to meet a lot of new people. And I was watching that Pack podcast, and he said one of the biggest differences is you got to love practice. Mm-hmm. And I will say that's one thing is that it's you can love football and you can love it for the 4 months you're playing it in high school, but you go from that to the entire year's football. You're lifting all the time. And if you're not lifting, somebody else out there is lifting and they're getting better than you. So you just got to always be kind of competing. I remember thinking, winter was going to be our big break off and how excited I was. And, yeah, there's a little bit of a winter break, but you come back and you got mat drills and you're lifting super intense. And it's just, people always wonder, how, there's some people in college football that will drop out before their fourth year. and they'll just quit and want to become a student. And I never got that. I was like, how could you quit before 5 years? And now you look back and it's like, man, that 1 year is such a grind. You know, it's like you got 5 of those. And I think that's why you just got to keep it pace, and you really just got to keep a good mindset. And, you know, and there's a lot more downs and ups and downs in college football too, you know. You'll have a day where you'll be on top of the world, you'll finally figure something out, and then you'll have an O-lineman that you just can't figure out, at least for me, from my position. Like there's, you know, just is just whooping you. And it's like, man, like, am I not good enough? But then, you know, you'll break through, and you'll finally have those days, and you'll look back. I thought I was going to come in and be so good and everything. I felt pretty good about myself. And I look back on like my just my film that I had that freshman year, and it's like, wow, it's crazy how much you've improved and you don't even know. And I think that's kind of the fun part of college football is, like he was saying, just understanding it a lot better. Like I just look at football now and I understand so much more than I ever did, and I understand why people do things and stuff like that. But yeah,
no, that's definitely the hard part. It's a mental battle. You go from high school playing football, and I love football, and you go from having breaks, though, you go to a different sport, and it takes your mind off football a little bit. And in college, it's more of a job. You're playing football all year round. I got up there, and I left for college in June, my first year. We went through a whole season, made it to the national championship, won, and that was on January 4th. And I remember a week later, we were back in starting winter conditioning. I was like, it was crazy. It really realized this is all year round. And then spring ball is tough. It's probably the hardest time of the year. The practices are tough. They're a lot more fun, though, a lot more scrimmage and stuff like that. But, I mean, it's just all year round. And to practice that long in the spring and know that you don't have a game till next August is probably the hardest part. So just surrounding yourself with a group of guys that can make that fun will really just get you through it.
And I think another thing that's important too about college football compared to like high school, at least for me that I noticed too, is like you got to really like you got to love like just the development, and you got to really be patient, because, you know, I went in high school and I was playing sophomore year, Colton's playing sophomore year, you know, and obviously there's the freshman team we played on that. So it wasn't a lot of time where at least us were like the scouts and stuff like that. And I'll say a little shout out to J.D. Vac, a kid that I think went through the ringer and really had a really good senior year. And college just made me respect people like that a lot more, because you go and you realize you're not the top priority anymore, you know. And it's not that, you know, we felt like we were, I don't know what the right word is, but it's not that I want to say like I felt like I was better than anyone or anything like that, but you don't realize how important it is to let other people like just be a good look for everyone else, and just know that you're not the guy right now, and you're developing, and you got to be there for the team and give your O-line and everyone the best look you can, and have a little bit of sacrifice while you're going through. And I think that's like one of the biggest things of college football is it's not all about you, you know. But
yeah, that's definitely a shock too. You go there in your first year and you don't really know how it's going to be, and you get thrown down there as a scout dummy, but you almost just got to play your role, and you got to learn that that's just what you're there to do for that first year. And it's huge for the older guys. They actually need good looks. I remember Mason McCormick, he's playing on the Steelers right now. I was playing safety, and I'd have to force him on the edge every day, and it was tough. He's a big ass dude. And but you just got to like learn to love it. You got to embrace the grind, embrace the suck, and just kind of push through that first year and get through that stuff, because it's huge for the older guys.
And there's definitely still rewarding moments. I'll say, like, we a year ago we lost to Northwest. It was the last game of the year, and it was an absolute blowout. It was like 56-7. And Northwest is a really like historically good it's probably the best program in our conference, maybe in D2. And like we all spring ball and everything, we had to see the score to that game and talk about it. And the week leading up to that, it was a home game. We really were asked to go really hard on scout, like really give, like, you know, because sometimes you're going to piss the O-line off, you know, but you just got to keep going. And I remember our O-line, we ended up winning the game, and our O-line coach was like actually like in tears because he was so happy, and he came and gave me a hug, and he's like, you have no idea how much you helped us this week. And the O-line too, you know, like you earn a lot of respect. You earn your ropes too, just doing stuff like that. And it is rewarding seeing your team be successful.
For sure.
Yeah, so playing football like my sophomore year, and like sophomores like don't get that much playing time, and like freshmen too, they're all like, I'm not getting playing time. I don't think I want to play football anymore. Or like for any sport, like freshman, sophomore year, if you just don't play, you're like, I don't want to play this sport anymore. Do you have any like words of advice to just say like stick with it and push through that embrace? Because you guys were saying like those first 2 years are just not the greatest for anybody, but yeah.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll say my word of advice is there's been a lot of people that I know that didn't stick through.
Yeah.
And they always tell me their biggest regret is that they didn't. And I know a lot of people, like I was talking to JD Vac. I mean, JD, his junior year was supposed to play a lot more, and he had to sacrifice, and he was scout team. Luke Ratchin, even his junior year, same type of deal. And our junior year was probably our most successful season where we made it to the second round, lost by 1 point, almost made it to the semis. JD Vac and Luke Ratchin were two of the biggest parts of that team. And it's just because they stuck with it and they kept grinding, and then they ended up earning their role. And I'll even say my senior year, one of the biggest parts of the reason that we were still successful my senior year is I went out and I asked people that had quit, Carter Butterfield, Drew Stifler, Ryan Smith, like there's a lot of other kids too. And they all decided to go out and they loved it. And I'll say this, Carter Butterfield's still playing college football right now, and he thanks me to this day and says he's so happy that he went out and played. Logan Streeter, he's one of our good buddies. He never played a ton, but he had his moments, you know. And he said just being part of that group is one of his favorite things he's ever done, and one of the most rewarding experiences he's ever done. And I just think, you know, it's so easy to quit, and I understand that, especially now more than ever, you know, you're not playing. It's a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of time out of your day, but it makes it for when you finally get through that grind and your team is successful, it makes it that much more rewarding. And I think that's one thing that North Platte, you know, we're already at a numbers disadvantage with Omaha and schools like and stuff like that. You know, there's so many athletes that I think North Platte loses sometimes just because they quit and they don't want to push through, that they could be the next JD or Luke. And, you know, those guys aren't as glorified, but you ask anyone on our junior team who were some of the most impactful dudes on our team, I still think Luke Ratchin was one of our best right tackles ever. I think JD Vac, I mean, he ended up having like 7 sacks and had more tackles than, I think he was 4th on the team in tackles. And that's all just him grinding through and getting through all those years spent that he didn't do. And, you know, he was kind of the practice dummy and everything. But JD Vac, like he loved it, you know, and all those guys, they talk about all the time how much they loved it. But I guess that's my word of advice. Just stick through because it's the rewarding. There's a good reward on the other end.
There is. And just like, think about that, like what JD became. You're a freshman, you don't know how good you're going to be. That's like when you're developing, your freshman and sophomore years. I know I got a lot bigger. Like, you could become a freak athlete out of nowhere. I mean, JD got huge. And just talk about, like, when kids are regretting it, like, the memories that you make during football. Like, what else you got to do through high school? I mean, why not go out? I mean, it's the best memories that you can. I mean, we remember stuff like West Side, like we were talking about all the time. And that's what makes high school fun, just being around a group of guys. Football is a real brotherhood, and that's my favorite part about it, I'd say.
And it's one of those things, too, like, you know, playing college football is still special and it's still awesome. And I don't want to undermine how, like, cool and fun college football is, but there's still nothing like, I mean, you got 4 years in high school and that's it, and you'll never go back. Yeah. And there's nothing like, you know, like the crowds that were at North Platte games and just having your whole city behind you and playing with your best friends and all your whole community, you know. I don't think there's anything like that. And I think, you know, you could talk to a kid from Alabama and he'd probably say the same thing, you know. Mm-hmm. They always talk about Texas pride in football, you know, it's like the same thing. Just playing for your community, there's something special about that. And I think that some people take that for granted and they just skip out on it. And that's such a beautiful opportunity to play a game like that. And you only got 4 years at it, so might as well, you know, stick through.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because college is, it's so much different. You're going to get there and you're going to realize if you really love football or not. It's a full-time job. It's a real business. And looking back at high school, and you probably agree with me, I don't remember practices sucking, like, at all. I don't remember anything bad about it. I just remember good memories, and football just felt like a time to have fun. It was a privilege to be able to play it, and it was great.
Yeah, so your college experience, like, do you think high school, like, do you think coaches and just, like, coaching in general has helped you become the people you have today? Do you think, like, you're, like, Do you think coaching is like a big factor in how someone becomes as an athlete, or do you think it's all your mental ability?
Oh yeah. I can mention Coach Genatone. He came into our program, and he transformed my whole brain into a defense. Like, I learned so much from him in a short amount of time that just really opened my mind to the game of football that I didn't even know, and that kind of helped me prepare a little bit for college because, like I said, the complexity of it, it's a shock, like how complicated the schemes are in football. And so him coming in helped me a lot, just kind of getting my feet wet and just defensive schemes and stuff like that and learning a little bit more about football knowledge.
I'll say, too, like, I think coaches definitely, like, there's been a lot of them. Just seeing the way that the coaches respond to times that you're down, I think it makes you a lot stronger as a person, too. You know, there's been, for all the ups, you know, all the highs that we had in football at North Platte, there were also a lot of lows, you know, where it's like, yeah, I mean, for example, Kearney right before Westside, I mean, that was probably one of the lowest moments in football I'd ever had because we had them and fumbled twice. But just the way that people like Coach Work reacted and just the way that we talked and a lot of the leadership that was presented, I think, like it kind of develops you as a person. And, you know, you kind of, going through sports, you kind of learn how to be a leader, I'd say, and deal with adversity. I mean, that's the name of the game, no matter what sport you're playing. And I think in life you find that a lot, you know. There's tons of adversity, you know. No one's life is perfect. Nobody doesn't have a lot of adversity. It's a lot about how you respond, not about how it hits you. But I'd say that there's a lot of coaches. I think, like I was talking earlier, like 16s with Coach Packer, just talking about how, you know, good. Like, that was a big thing that they always talked about. Is just
Good.
Yeah. But just honestly, like, you know, you always talked about the 16s. It doesn't matter how long you do 16s and how hard it's always hard on your body. It always sucks. And I don't know, just if you get that mental capacity, I don't know, we'd always make it if you're mentally right and you told yourself you could do it. And I think that's kind of a powerful lesson for just life in general. You know, you can always get through something if you tell yourself you can. Mm-hmm. And on the contrary, if you're telling yourself that you have no chance in anything, you're not going to be successful at it, you know. And I think that's just some things from coaches around here. And there's a lot of coaches I haven't mentioned that were awesome growing up. You know, like even our middle school or our, you know, traveling basketball team, Brian and Pat Lucetto. Yeah. Those two helped us a lot with just a lot of believing in us and believing in North Platte and making us think that, you know, we actually could do stuff and go against all odds, you know. Mm-hmm. So I just think, you know, coaches definitely are really important in fostering how you are and who you are as a person.
Yeah, so do you guys have any, like, final words of advice that you would want to tell high school students or just, like, anybody in general that have helped you in the past?
I mean, if you're in high school, just soak it all in. Take risks. I look back at high school and I wish I'd have done more things, but I'd say for the most part that I lived it up as much as I could. I enjoyed a lot of memories here, and I know it's cliche to say it, but everybody says it goes fast, 4 years, blah, blah, everybody says it, but it really does. I was in my senior year. I was just looking around, talking to friends, hanging out with kids on the last day of school and stuff like that, and I was just like, wow, it really is over. And college is scary for a lot of kids. You know, it's scary to look like what your future is going to be out to be, and just live high school up, man. It goes fast.
Kind of same thing, you know, just enjoy every moment. You know, I'll say my senior year, I remember just, you know, coming out every game before. Like, I was even supposed to be out there for warm-ups, so just kind of walking around in the turf and just kind of looking around the stadium every game, just really trying to soak it up and just kind of really trying to enjoy the moment. Not even, I mean, I think that I enjoyed every moment of senior year, and it still went fast. And I think that just for kids in general in high school, do stuff, you know, like go out and do things, hang out with your friends. You know, don't be afraid to go out and try something, you know, like, and I think you definitely need to, you know, with sports and everything, I think be willing to go through that grind and don't just give up right away. You know, there's a lot of kids that have struggled the same way you have, and, you know, they have a rough day at practice or a rough year and they think it's over. And, you know, I think that you can get through that. And also just don't be afraid to be the guy that holds other people accountable and gets, you know, keeps everyone up, because I think that you earn a lot of respect over the time. And, yeah, I don't know. I just think you look back at high school and it was some of the best moments of my life, you know, and I got a long ways to go in life, but, you know, I think I always look fondly over those moments. So, yeah, just enjoy it while you're here.
Yeah, and just to piggyback real quick, I just want to say how grateful I am to just actually grow up in North Platte. Just looking back, I think it was a great place to grow up, a great place to go to high school. And like I was listening in on Coach Pack's podcast, it's just the way that, you know, kids kind of used to take pride in wearing a Bulldog on their chest and stuff like that. I really hope the school kind of starts climbing back up towards the top of the mountain on stuff like that, and just being grateful to be a North Platte Bulldog, and I hope our community starts working that way.
100%. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I think North Platte was one of the best places I could have ever grown up, and you know, my strong friendships and everything, and then just my experience. I don't think I'd trade it for anything. So, yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for coming on, and good luck in the playoffs.
Thank you.
Thank you, Foundation. We love your money.
Thank you, Foundation.
Yeah. Well, this has been the Bulldog Banter. I'm Tucker,
I will.
and thank you.
Thank you.